Alright, today we're going to go over Algebra 2, we're going to go over for Algebra 2b, 2.5, Part 3, it's 30 to 44 even. Alright, almost all these problems are going to be using synthetic division. So you're going to make your synthetic box, then you're going to put the coefficients inside, the opposite of A outside if it's in factor form. If it's in zero form, you're going to put whatever the number is. So you're going to add your numbers on the inside, multiply numbers on the outside, put variables back in, 1 degree less, and then you're going to usually either be factoring and then solving on some of these. Alright, so number 30 is going to say, x equals 4x cubed minus 25x squared minus 154x plus 40, and 10 is a 0. That means you're not going to change the sign. Since it says find zeros, guys, finding zeros is the same thing as solving. So it's just like solving. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make your synthetic division box. I'm going to put 4, negative 25, negative 154, and 40 inside the box. I'm going to put 10 outside the box. Don't change the sign. So don't change the sign because it's in zero form. It's in zero form because it doesn't say x plus or minus, and it says the word 0 in the problem. So I always start with the 0 here. I drop it down. I get a 4. 4 times 10 is 14. I messed up. 4 times 10 is 40. I get 15. I multiply 10 times 15 because it's outside to get 150. I'm left with negative 4. I multiply 10 times negative 4 to get negative 40. 0 remainder. Remember, should always happen. Alright? Should always be 0 if given information. Alright? So that means my new problem is 4x squared plus 15x minus 4. Now I'm going to factor that into 4x and x, or 2x and 2x. Negative 1 and 4, and I think that's going to work, so I'm going to put 4x minus 1, x plus 4 equals 0. If I check the outside, I get 16x. The inside is minus 1x. Together that works. It's going to be 15x. So it's going to work. So now I say 4x minus 1 equals 0. I add 1, divide by 4. X equals 1/4. I say x plus 4 equals 0. X equals negative 4. There's my answers, and there's my third 0 if I needed that. So 3 zeros. 1 answer, 2 answers, 3 answers for this problem. Alright, so 32, we have 3x cubed plus 34x squared plus 72x minus 64 with negative 4 being a 0. Remember, if it's in 0 form, we don't change. So make my box. I put 3, 34, 72, and negative 64 in. I put negative 4 on the outside. Alright, I put a 0. 3 times 0 is, or 3 plus 0 is 3. I multiply. 34 times negative, or 34 plus negative 12 is 22. Negative 4 times 22 is negative 88. I'm left with negative 16 times negative 4 is positive 64, which means I have no remainder. So this is going to turn into 3x squared plus 22x minus 16. 3x and x is my options there. I have negative 1 and 16, negative 2 and 8, and negative 4 and 4. I'm going to try 3x minus 2, x plus 8. The outside gives me 24x. The inside gives me minus 22x. Or I'm sorry, the inside gives me minus 2x, which is 22x, which is what I want. So this works. Remember, it's equal to 0. So I say 3x minus 2 equals 0. I add 2, then divide by 3, so I get x equals 2/3. I'm going to say x plus 8 equals 0. So x equals negative 8. And that's it. Alright, so 36, we have a rectangular prism. I know 2 of the sides. I want to find the third. So you can use division to find the third side. it's basically kind of like a factor problem. So it's basically a factor problem. And these are in factor form. So the first thing I'm going to do is make my box. I'm going to put 2, 17, 46, and 40 inside the box. I'm going to put -4 outside because I'm going to be using this one first. Put 0 here. 2 plus 0 is 2. I get 2 times 4, it's -8. 17 negative 8 is 9. -4 times 9 is minus 36. I'm left with 10. -4 times 10 is -40. So then I have 0 remainder. Now I have two choices here. I could make this 2x squared plus 9x plus 10, and then I factor this down into 2x and x, and 1 and 10, and 2 and 5. And I already know it's going to be x plus 2 because this right here tells me it's going to be x plus 2. So that means the only other choice is going to be 2x plus 5. And then I check my work, I get 4x on the inside, 5x on the outside. So I know that's going to be my missing question mark. I also could have just made a new box, and I could have put -2 outside. 2 plus 0 is 2. I get -4. 9 and -4 is 5. And that's -10. So that's 0 remainder, which means that's 2x plus 5. So either way, my question mark is going to be 2x plus 5. Alright, so 38 says, I have this function x cubed minus 5x squared minus 12x plus 36, and f of 2 equals 0. So find the other zeros. So that's just like numbers 32 and 34. So I'm going to make my box. So I'm going to put 2 on the outside. Remember, I don't change it because that's in 0 form, because it's equal to 0. No plus or minus and stuff. I'm going to put 1, -5, -12, and 36. Put a 0 there. 1 plus 0 is 1. I get 2. -5 and 2 is a -3. I get -6. I get -18. 2 and -18 is -36. That means no remainder. So this is all part A. Now remember, I go x squared minus 3x minus 18. I get that from these numbers. And I have 6 and 3, and I want -6, so I'm going to have x minus 6, x plus 3 equals 0, which means my zeros are going to be x is 6, x is -3. Now, if I know these are the zeros, and I know that's a 0, I know the factor form of that is x minus 2. So B says basically work backwards. Well, if you know the zeros, how could you find the factors? So I know it's going to be x minus 6 from this one. It's going to be x plus 3 from this one. And I know x minus 2 from my original. And that's it. And then the C says, what are the solutions? Well, solutions are the same thing as zeros. So my solutions are going to be x equals 2, x equals -3, and x equals 6. And that's it for C. Alright, so 2x minus 1 is a factor of this function, 30x cubed plus 7x squared minus 39x plus 14. Well, A says, what is a 0? Well, if I know 2x minus 1 is a factor, I know I can set it equal to 0, and x is going to equal to 1/2. That's by solving it. So that's going to be a 0. Now B says use synthetic division to break it down. So I'm going to in B I'm going to do synthetic division just like I did before, but I'm going to put 1/2 outside. So I'm going to make my box. I'm going to put 30, 7, -39, and 14. I'm going to put 1/2 out there. So I'm going to put a 0 here, 30. I'm going to put 1/2 of 30 is 15. 7 15 is 22. Half of 22 is going to be 11. I'm going to put minus 28 there. -28 times 1/2 is minus 14. I get no remainder. So I'm going to write this as x minus 1/2 from the 0. Actually, I'm going to write as x minus 1/2, and then I'm going to put, and I'm going to, since all of these are even, I'm going to put a 2 out here. So that's going to make it 15x squared plus 11x minus 14. Just so it's easier to factor, because I'm going to do that in C. So if C says you're going to factor that, well, I'm going to factor 15x into 5x and 3x. I could also use 1x and 15x, but I don't think that's going to work. And I'm going to use negative 2 and 7, or negative 1 and 14. I'm going to try negative 2 and 7, and 5x and 3x. So I'm going to put 2x minus 1. That's just making that, I'm just distributing that 2. And so the fraction goes away. And then I'm going to have 3x minus 2 and 5x plus 7. I'm going to check the outside. I'm going to get 35x, or 21x. And the inside is going to be minus 10x, which is 11x, which is what I want. So that's my factored form. And that's it for C. Alright, so 42 says the profit's going to be 48 million for this equation. So I'm going to make it 48 million, or just 48 because it's in millions, equals negative 4x cubed plus 12x squared plus 16x. I want to set it equal to 0. So I have negative 4x squared cubed plus 12x squared plus 16x minus 48 equals 0. I'm going to divide both sides by 4. I'm going to end up with, actually I'm going to divide them all by negative 4. I end up with x cubed minus 3x squared plus 4x minus 12 equals 0. That's 0 form. So they already gave us one solution. Basically it's the same, find another solution. So I know that if I use this, I'm going to put 3 outside, I'm going to put 1, negative 3, 4, and negative 12 on the inside. I put a 0 here. 1 times 3 is 3, I get 0. 3 times 0 is, or 0 times 3 is 0. 4 plus 0 is 4. I get 12, no remainder. So I get x squared plus 0x plus 4. So I want to find another solution that's like finding another 0. So I have x squared plus 4 equals 0. X squared equals 4. X equals plus or minus 2. Well, you cancel negative cannot sell negative players, so x equals 2 is the only other solution. And that's it for 42. Alright, last one. 44 says we have the price is set by this function where x is the number of radios produced. So the revenue is equal to price times produced. Where I'm going to put 40 minus 4x squared times x. So I have to use distributive property. So A is just going to give me my revenue is going to equal to 40x minus 4x cubed. And that's it for A. Now for B, you have to subtract the cost is $15 per radio. So to find the profit, you got to take your revenue you got to subtract cost. So the cost is not just 15, but it's 15x. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to subtract 15x. So my cost is going to be 25x, or actually my profit. So we go to 25x minus 40, or minus 4x cubed. Alright, so C is going to use all the same information we just used, except they're going to tell you the profit's 24 million, and you're going to produce 1.5. So that's going to be like x equals 1.5. So that's like a 0. So that's going to go outside our box. So from B, I have the profit, which is going to be 24 million, equals 25x minus 4x cubed. So I'm going to set this equal to 0, and I'm going to put in standard form. So I'm going to make this minus 4x cubed. I'm going to add my placeholder now, plus 0x squared, plus 25x minus 24 equals 0. That's going to go inside my box. Negative 4, 0, 25, negative 24. I'm going to put 1.5 out here. 0 and 4, negative 4, so I'm going to have negative 4. 0 is negative 4. Negative 4 times 1.5 is negative 6. I put a 0 here. I get negative 6. Negative 6 times 1.5 is going to be negative 9. I'm going to get 16 here. 16 times 1.5 is negative 24. So then I'm going to have or positive 24. So that gives me no remainder. So now I know my answer is going to be negative 4x squared minus 6x plus 16. I'm going to solve that equal to 0. I'm going to divide everything by 2. So I'm going to get negative 2x squared minus 3x plus 8 equals 0. Alright, so since this wasn't factorable, I have to use the quadratic formula. And I divide everything by negative 2, that's why, or by 2, that's why I have these. So my A is negative 2, my B is negative 3, my C is 8. I have to plug it into x equals the opposite of B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. I plug that in and I get two answers. X equals 1.386 and I get x equals negative 2.886. Now, D says get rid of this negative. You cannot produce, you're not able to produce negative radios. So that's why you get rid of that one. And that's the only other answer. When it's not 1.386, it's actually 1,386,000 radios, but pretty close. And that's it for this assignment.